interesting thing is a balance, a cooperation between two producers, quasi at 50-50 with Alex Osborne. I produced Tales from a Hard City with Alex. I produced this film, Fucking Sheffield, with Alex. And we were not exactly at 50-50. The European part was a little more important. And it's very, very rare in co-production to have a balanced cooperation between two producers. It's very, very rare. First, co-production is always a nightmare. It's very complicated to co-produce because there is always a hierarchy. What is the hierarchy? There is always, when you produce a documentary, or even a feature, but a documentary more, you develop a film during months and months and months, and you work a lot, and you are totally involved, etc. And the co-producer, in general, arrives after that. He is not absolutely not at the same level of involvement. And the motivation of the co-producer are not the same. And we must always think about what are the motivations of the co-producers. And sometimes the motivations are very different. Sometimes a young producer who wants to be just involved in a big production and he can like that exist for the... And it's in general a difference of efficiency, of experiment. Why? Because the good producer in Spain or the good producer in UK or the good producer in Germany produces his own film. He is not minority co-producer. It's why it's always complicated to harmonize that in terms of co-production. It's why I use this example with Fucking Sheffield because it was balanced. It was very interesting because Alex was my student in a course of European program of training of producer a long time ago, in 90. And Tales from a Hard City was in this seminar, in this EAVA. I don't know if you know EAVA. It's a program of training for producer, but for documentary, but also mainly for feature, for fiction. And I was a group leader this time, and I had Andrea Calderwood in my group. You know Andrea Calderwood, a Scottish producer. Right? Now she's in London, but and Alex Osborne. And Alex was a very, very clever producer, very nice and very rooted in his own town. And somewhere I thought always Alex, maybe it's more British or UK things, that it was more like an author, like more author than producer somewhere. The film needs him as author, not only as a producer. And the for Tales, and exactly for the same for Sheffield, we were more main producer in terms of organization of production, of money, of contract, of European bullshit problems of cooperation with all these partners. And Alex bore the location every day to work with the director. And it was a very good balance between us because we were not in Sheffield during this long shooting. We went some time, but we were not. And Alex was producer in terms of the daily, not just for the execution, but in terms of a permanent dialogue with the director. And I think this cooperation was possible and very well balanced and very good because the roles were very clear. But you must know that I signed a contract, author's contract with Alex. Not only a co-production agreement. I signed an author contract with Kim and Alex, and I signed under the French law to protect them about the final cut. Because in the French law, the director has the final cut, not the financer. And I did always that. I said to the author comes, because in UK we can put out the director and take another one. In France it's impossible. We have an old guy named Beaumarchais that a very long time ago created a system to defend the rights that the author and the director, the author's contract, gives the final cut. And I signed with Alex too, because I thought that Alex, he's not here, he's in Sheffield, but I thought that Alex was somewhere co-author of the film. In the credit, he's as producer, not as a co-author, but he has the co-author contract.